I thought of a better way to start this video. An entire gang of family court judges in West Virginia is now ganging up on citizens, ganging up on our constitutional rights. And people need to know about it, and we need your help. Hi, John Bryan here. If you've been following my case of the family court judge who searched my client's house, then you might be interested in this update. This is just bizarre. Somebody sent this headline to me here, I think it was on Friday, and this is just crazy. This is from the West Virginia Record. Family Court Judicial Association drafts resolution seeking to have disciplinary counsel fired. So I'll put the link to this in the description, but this is just bizarre. So if you haven't seen the video showing the West Virginia Family Court judge searching my client's house, go and watch it. I'll also link that, but a lot of people have seen it at this point. And as a result of that, there was a judicial disciplinary counsel prosecution and also the federal civil rights lawsuit that we filed. Now, what you basically have here, go check out this article, but apparently the family court judges have their own sort of union, a judicial association. I wasn't really even aware of this. Apparently they had a meeting and they discussed this pending case, which is in effect a disciplinary prosecution of a family court judge. And so apparently this journalist gets a copy of this document that apparently the family court judges signed when they had a meeting on May 13th, 2021. So now this is about a pending disciplinary prosecution against one of their own, against a family court judge. And they got together, and I've already posted on the fact that the Judicial Hearing Board, which was involved in that process, had a member, they have a family court judge member, who tried to interfere with the process and caused all sorts of problems. And now that's headed to the Supreme Court. But now all the other family court judges have apparently jumped in. So this is the resolution that they had. So May 13th, 2021, whereas West Virginia family court judges are duly elected and acting judicial officers created under the West Virginia Constitution. Actually, they're created by the legislature. They're actually not judges created by the West Virginia Constitution. They're created by the legislature. But anyways, the West Virginia Family Judicial Association is a voluntary professional organization formed in July 20th, 2000, having as its purpose affiliation, the promotion of the standards, programs, and goals of its membership, blah, 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 blah. All right, whereas the Judicial Disciplinary Council was and is established by the Supreme Court of West Virginia to prosecute violations of the Code of Judicial Conduct, blah, 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 blah. And then they named the two judicial prosecutors, Teresa Tarr and Brian Lanham. And now this is going to the Supreme Court from the Judges Association. And it's saying, it names these individuals and it says they have repeatedly committed prosecutorial misconduct in such instances, but not limited to, misstating the law to judicial officers and tribunals, bringing ethics charges against judicial officials when no canon violation nor infraction of the law has occurred. And who the hell are they to say that? Employing threatening, coercive, and bullying tactics toward judicial officers and using unauthorized and unprofessional means to communicate alleged infractions to a judicial officer. Again, this is from the West Virginia Family Judicial Association, a voluntary professional organization of family court judges. Now, they also allege that the JDC, the prosecutors, have been dishonest to a tribunal on the following occasions. And they say, not limited to the following incidents: withholding evidence from the Judicial Hearing Board on January 15th, 2021. The prosecutors have shown blatant disrespect for the family court judiciary on multiple occasions, including, but not limited to, using condescending language and actions towards judicial officials and responding to judicial inquiries in a rude and unprofessional manner. The prosecutors, the JDC, has made false statements regarding judicial officers without any supporting evidence, implying that judicial officers are involved in unethical conspiracy-type actions. Yeah, well, because they are. Or at least one was. The JDC has consistently made a misuse of authority not granted by code or rule, which is ironic because they're defending a family court judge for searching a man's house when there's no code or rule giving them that authority. Whereas the Judicial Disciplinary Council shall not be removed except upon the concurrence of the Judicial Investigation Commission and the Supreme Court of Appeals of West Virginia. So therefore, they're asking that the Disciplinary Council, Teresa Tarr and Brian Lanham, to find that they've consistently engaged in a pattern and practice of acts and omissions not contemplated by nor permitted through the proper and lawful application of the rules of disciplinary procedure when prosecuting judicial complaints against the West Virginia Family Court judges. Therefore, be it resolved. So, signed, the West Virginia Family Judicial Association. So again, this is an association of, quote, duly elected, constituted, and acting judicial officers of the state of West Virginia. So these are active, elected West Virginia Family Court judges who are writing a letter to the state Supreme Court and to the Judicial Investigation Commission asking that the prosecutors in a pending case against one of their fellow family court judges be fired. Be fired. This is like Biden going into the Ukraine and asking for prosecutors to be fired who are investigating his son. Now, this is all just so ironic because if you look at the West Virginia Code of Judicial Conduct, it actually has, as one of the rules, look at this, Rule 2.10, judicial statements on pending and impending cases. A judge shall not make any public statement that might reasonably be expected to affect the outcome or impair the fairness of a matter pending or impending in any court, or make any non-public statement that might substantially interfere with a fair trial or hearing. B, a judge shall not, in connection with cases or controversies or issues that are likely to come before the court, make pledges, promises, or commitments that are inconsistent with the impartial performance of duties of judicial office. C, a judge shall require court staff, court officials, and others subject to the judge's discretion and control to refrain from making statements that the judge would be prohibited from making. Let's see. Notwithstanding these restrictions, the judge may make public statements in the course of official duties, may explain court procedures, and may comment on any proceeding in which the judge is a litigant in a personal capacity. Okay. This rule's restriction on judicial speech, these rules are essential to the maintenance of the independence, integrity, and impartiality of the judiciary. Okay. So here we have, as a rule, judges aren't allowed to comment on pending and impending cases. And yet that's what they're doing, even leaking it to a reporter. Now, even in the article on the West Virginia Record, it says none of the members would speak on the record regarding the vote earlier this month, right after the annual meeting. But all of them confirmed the vote did occur. One said the vote included almost 40 members that were, quote, well more than half, maybe 2/3 of the members voted to request the prosecutor's termination. So we have 40 members. That means 40 family court judges have signed on to this request to the Supreme Court to fire the prosecutor that's going after one of the family court judges. And in so doing, by their own admission, they're making public statements or even non-public statements on pending and impending cases, because that's a pending case. It's headed to the Supreme Court right now that they're trying to influence by having the prosecutors fired off of the case before even the Supreme Court rules on it. I mean, how third world tin pot dictator is that? And these are family court judges. And after first posting this video on YouTube, I've heard so many stories from people about their own nightmare experiences in family court. And here we've just had what appears to be 40 sitting family court judges appear on the record to request the termination of two prosecutors who dare go after one of their own in a pending case for what the judge in the case admitted was her own misconduct that she apologized for and cried about during the hearing that I was at, and who admitted that she had violated all these canons of judicial conduct. So you have 40 family court judges, maybe she's one of them, here now commenting on that and leaking it to the press, but not wanting to actually go on the record. So this is just, I think this is unprecedented, where you've had judges in the United States of America actually try to have prosecutors fired in another case involving one of their own, but they're not presiding over the case, trying to go around and go to the Supreme Court. I mean, this is just craziness. So I'm gonna look into this more. I mean, this is sort of like in pretty much all cases where you have public corruption, government employees who are caught. The cover-up is almost always worse than the original conduct, almost always worse. And I don't think this is going to turn out the way they think it is. And in fact, a couple things come to mind here. And, I'm not convinced that this is not criminal conduct that's taking place right before our eyes. Now, whether any prosecutors at the state or federal level are willing to look into this, I don't know. But someone needs to bring this to their attention. We have, sounds like 40 West Virginia family court judges who are trying to get prosecutors fired from going after one of their own family court judges for admitted misconduct. I'm out here trying to mow, and I just have to stop mowing because I just can't get this case out of my mind. Basically, you have all these sitting family court judges around the state conspiring to get rid of the prosecutors in a pending case where one individual is victimized by a family court judge, admittedly violating all sorts of ethical rules. And now secretly they're meeting and conspiring and leaking it to reporters, but not actually giving their names, just relying on their collective power and strength and authority as family court judges. You know what? These are our employees, these are government employees that we elected who are abusing their power and trying to do so in secret and corrupt ways. Shouldn't every communication that they have as a collective organization or as individual judges who they refer to themselves as judges, shouldn't that all be subject to the Freedom of Information Act? Shouldn't we be able to get every email, the details of every phone call, every document passed back and forth? I would like to see every one of those. And aren't all of these judges who are trying to rely on their collective strength and be anonymous, shouldn't they all be subject to judicial investigation by Judicial Disciplinary Council and the Supreme Court as far as to whether they violated any ethical rules, any of the code of judicial conduct by getting involved in a pending case and calling for the termination of two prosecutors? I mean, imagine if any other type of judge did that. Imagine it. It wouldn't happen. Just like it wasn't supposed to happen that judges search somebody's house. We have a problem. We have a problem here with family court judges, apparently. You know what the actual solution is? The Supreme Court can only suspend elected family court judges, but the legislature can impeach, just as they impeached several Supreme Court justices a couple years ago. Is this not something that the West Virginia legislature should look into, that our elected representatives should look into? The fact that we have all of these sitting family court judges meeting in secret and calling for the public and non-public anonymously firing of the only two prosecutors that there are to hold judges accountable when they commit ethical violations. And if you look at the list of ethical violations committed by judges over the years, there have been numerous. They want to completely insulate themselves this just really makes me angry. One last thought. If this is if they can succeed, this really is an assault on the integrity of our judicial system. If these family court judges are able to fire the prosecutors that keep them in check, then there's never going to be accountability ever again. And who's going to suffer from that? It's us, and it's the litigants of family court who already feel so aggrieved by what they feel is an unfair system, the family court system already. This would be the greatest travesty of justice if they're allowed to remove all measures of accountability. This is absolutely outrageous. People need to contact their legislators in West Virginia, and hell, contact your legislators in Kentucky and just tell them how screwed up things are getting in West Virginia or in North Carolina, wherever you are. Tell them how screwed up things are about to become in West Virginia. Tell them to contact their buddies in West Virginia.